So when pet parents with new dogs approach me, one of the first things we talk about is communication. How are you going to communicate with this dog that is being introduced into your house? And I talk about the three components of communication. Everybody that gets a dog, regardless of what their learning background is, should have three components of communication: a positive marker, a negative marker, and a release cue. Tune in because we're going to talk about that in today's session.
Don't you love this dog? Don't you snuggle him on the couch? What the hell we have this dog?
So sit, fall, stay. Go. All right, let's talk about communication. Because again, if the dog's not looking, you're not listening.
We're gonna go to war in 3, 2,
So when it comes to clearing the line of communication between you and your dog, regardless of where they came from, whether they're a puppy or whether they're a rescue dog from Buenos Aires, clearing the line of communication means three-component system: a positive marker, a negative marker, and a release cue. That's it. So let's break it down. What is considered a cue? A cue is a particular word or a hand signal to ask a dog for a specific behavior. Cue for sit, cue for stay, cue for focus, cue for quiet. These are all considered cues. When it comes to markers, what is considered a marker? A marker is a word or a sound that we use to indicate to your dog whatever you just did, I like it, positive marker. Or whatever you just did, I don't like it, negative marker. So let's talk about it. What's the most common positive marker? So what is going to be one of the positive markers that you use with your dog? What's the most common one? Good, or yes, or some people will use a clicker. All a clicker is just replacing your word good. So if I asked Bandit to sit, I would say, Bandit, sit. The moment Bandit's bum touched the ground, good. My positive marker gave a reward. If I was using a clicker, I would say, Bandit, sit. The moment Bandit touched his bum, I would click and then give him the treat. So all the clicker is replacing the word good. Now, for certain things, I think that's great. But when I'm teaching a dog the basics, why would I use a clicker that makes the situation and me trying to get my dog to perform so much more difficult? Because I have to have this clicker in my hand every time. I mean, good boy. I mean, where's the clicker? If good is locked and loaded all the time, then good is always the best way to go with a positive marker because it's always ready. So let's talk about a negative marker. What's the most common negative marker? What do people usually say when the dog does something wrong? No. Bad, stop, Canadian style, A. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you're consistent. The only one that I deter clients from using is the one that everybody uses, which is no. Because think about it, no is such a mainstream word. They're hearing no like crazy. No, get out of here. No way, I don't believe she did that. And the dog's behind you holding the breath. It's even if your family spoke a different language, the no's and the yeses are generally still English. So you're desensitizing them even worse. So if you're going to use a negative marker, try to stay away from no. Use anything else other than no and be clear and concise about which one you're going to stick with. Let's talk about the third component in communication, which is the release cue. Why the release cue is so important is to indicate to your dog, whatever I just asked you to do, you're done. Oftentimes we forget to release when we ask for a particular behavior. I'll ask the dog for a sit and then I'll just walk away and the dog sits and bruises until they feel they've waited long enough and then they get up. So I'm not really conditioning them to wait until being released before they're able to do whatever they want. It automatically makes it so much easier for them to be successful in anything you ask because they're waiting for a clear and concise indication that they're done. Remember, because dog language is body language first and verbalization second, your release cue can't just be the word. So oftentimes what we have to do is create a body language or a hand signal that gets associated with the release cue. So if you decide that your release cue to your dog is okay, which is what I use, I'm not just going to stand with my arms straight beside my sides and say, okay, go ahead, because the dog is going to be oblivious. I want to add maybe like a ta-da hand signal as part of the release. So when my dog is sitting in front of me, what a good dog, okay, in the direction that my hand goes is almost always the direction that the dog is going to follow. Okay? Okay? Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Follow along for more simple and effective dog training content.